Lucrative lead. Babyface Ray sounds like he's falling asleep on the mic. I am. That's true. I am. If I feel it's just a soft press, then it's a casually. If I'm speaking factually, went to school up from the track, then spent a couple at Saks. Masterpiece cost $500. Actually, papered up, I'm too deep. I think I need some milk. Babyface Ray gotta chill with the lean. Homie look like he's in his third trimester.
I'm in the eggshell coupe, this shit here a hatchback. I don't do the bases, this is him and here a scat pack. I don't do no talking, rolling in the outback.
On last place we have Big Scarr, who somehow managed to have an even shorter performance than during the solo a cappella freestyles. His verse for a Cypher freestyle was only 7 bars long, and only lasted 21 seconds. What made it even worse is the fact that he actually repeated himself in the 6th line, meaning we only got 6 bars from him. This is one of those rare cases where I wish that the artist had skipped the freestyle, just like Gunna, Trippie Redd, Baby Keem and Ian Dior. They at least managed to not embarrass themselves and let people speculate on how great their verses would have been if they actually freestyled. But this right here is one of the worst performances in XXL history. Almost as bad as Coi Leray's Cypher freestyle last year. Even after listening to it 10 times in a row, I still couldn't find anything to praise. I mean, content-wise, he wasn't saying anything. Lyrics were painfully generic, terrible delivery, almost sounded like a caveman that is trying to eat the microphone. And overall, he was just underwhelming in every criteria. What can you do or say in just 20 seconds that completely blows me away and impresses me? You're only sabotaging yourself if you make your freestyle as short as a skippable YouTube commercial. We didn't even have one memorable line, or something that we didn't already hear from everyone else in the class. I mean, look at these rhymes. Hatchback, scatback, outback, backpack, backpack, sack. My boy struggled to find rhymes after just 3 lines, and decided to just rhyme the same word over and over again. Start rapping after just 7 bars, as if that was enough to impress people or to prove himself. But it sounded like the verse was cut, so maybe the team decided to remove a huge part of the freestyle. Or they just stitched together 2 different takes after messing up the first one. Who knows? It's a terrible freestyle nonetheless. This wasn't even worth putting out, especially if he did this alone, without Big 30, KenTheMan and Nardo Wick. You heard the performance yourself. I can't think of a single argument to put this man higher on the list. Feel like I already overanalyzed it. This shit wasn't even worth a 10-second explanation.
Yeah, I said that I get it, and all of my niggas, I really done meant it, and all of my niggas, we get it and spent it, and shorty pull up, and you know that she get it, it's off of the top. Okay, she pull up in my, okay.
This man pissed me off the most this year. I spent like 5 minutes praising him in the last video, cause I really felt like he had the best solo performance. But he did a full 180 during the Cyphers and went back to his weird Playboy Cardi clone style that made me put him on my worst rappers list. How the hell did you manage to have the best, and also the worst, or at least one of the worst freestyle performances at the same time? The main reason why I didn't put him on last place is of course the fact that unlike Big Scarr, he didn't just utter weird sounds like a caveman for 20 seconds straight. He was more energetic, and I think especially for younger audiences it was quite fun to listen to, even if he sounded like a kid. For me it was unintentionally funny. I mean, look at these terrible lyrics. I said that I get it, we get it, she get it. This is off the top, okay. She pull up and mop, okay. I'm wearing some socks, they brown, okay. And your shorty she looking, she rounds, okay. Lucy, booty, boobies, cuties, bro, what the hell are these elementary school rhymes? Why did you think it's necessary for us to know that you're wearing some socks? And why are you saying okay like 10 times in a row?
Okay.
Only line I liked on here was the Ichigo we gon' fill him with hollows line, a nice double entendre for hollow point bullets, and also a reference to an anime and manga called Bleach. Hollows are basically human souls who lose their hearts to despair and regret. Don't ask me how souls have hearts, I have no clue. In his solo freestyle he actually had a whole anime scheme, but here we only got 1 line and nothing else. The remaining verse was a huge letdown. A man-child rambling a bunch of nonsense disguised as a freestyle off the top. People in the comments were actually defending and praising him for it. I love how everyone is automatically above criticism once they say the magical words, "This is off the top," "I'm spitting off the dome," or "I'm freestyling right now." and everyone automatically falls for it and is less critical about the lyrical content. Same shit that Moray did last year, and everybody fell for it. SoFaygo paused after every line, and the only thing people talked about in the comments was him spitting off the top. But you won't get any points from me if you sound this terrible. This was one of the worst freestyles ever. I can't believe that I almost removed him from my worst rappers list.
I'm up in the numbers, let's get it. I'm paving the way and it's permanent. Weezy the wave and it's permanent. Weezy the wave and she surfing it. Weezy the wave and she surfing it.
Next we have KayCyy, the guy who repeated every single line a million times just to piss me off. And it's permanent, and it's permanent. Weezy the wave and Weezy the wave and she surfing it. Weezy the wave and she surfing it. I came in the game and it's I don't got time for the I was down on my last, now the karma's in. I was down on my last, now the karma's in. From the bench now you're starting shit. From the bench now you're starting shit. Now it's 1.5, it's a starting tip. Now it's 1.5, it's a starting hit. Start the shit, starting shit. She got a price and it's not cheap. She got a price and it's not cheap. She got a man and it's not me. She got a man and it's not me. I should beat the shit out of you just for making me read this.
Corny ass nigga.
This is the most repetitive verse I've ever heard from somebody who claims to be a lyricist. Not far from what I would expect from somebody like a Playboy Cardi. Same level of repetitiveness and silliness, but it's not as catchy or entertaining, I would say. One of the most nerve-wracking freestyles I've heard in a while. And what the hell was he even saying at the end of the freestyle? My boy was mumbling so much that it became the most replayed part of the whole cypher. Most people who watched the video actually went back and replayed that part to understand what he was saying.
The end of the time of it, yeah. Don't like sounding with him. The end of the time of it, yeah. Don't like sounding with him.
The whole squad was cheering and celebrating after he was done rapping. We were all relieved when it was finally over. I mean, look how happy they are. I was happy too, I'm not gonna lie. The man even got a pat on his back for making this trash-ass cypher even worse. You can all be proud of yourselves. But anyway, let's not focus too much on the negative things and let's speak about the positive. I mean, aside from the offbeat rapping, the lack of substance, punchlines, wordplay, creativity, memorable or notable lines, the small vocabulary, the weak rhyme schemes, the weak flow, cadence and lyrics in general, I couldn't really find that much to complain about. Except maybe the beat, which was almost as nerve-wracking and repetitive as the freestyle itself. But that's of course not KayCyy's fault. Thanks, Obama.
Topic discussion, whoa. I do this shit just like it's nothing, whoa. Come get that bitch that you cuffing, whoa.
Next we have SoFaygo, who gave us another whack and repetitive freestyle. He was another one of those people that got praised for going off the top. No clue how people always come to that conclusion. Was it the fact that he didn't rap about anything with substance, or the fact that it was just repetitive and silly, or that the overall structure was very simple and not well thought out? Just like KayCyy, he used the same words over and over again, but at least he didn't repeat himself as much.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Ice on my wrist and it's bustin'. Ice on my neck and it's bustin'. Moving too fast, steady moving. I'm moving steady and ain't no rushing. Can't be rushing no more. He got his flashlight on, he still ain't seeing gold. He can have his flashlight on, he still ain't seeing gold.
As you can see, he used the same phrases over and over again. He rhymes whoa with whoa and whoa, hose, mo, snow, ghost, and then of course verbs in progressive tense and adverbs. Nothing, cuffin', bussin', bussin', dustin', rushin' and rushin'. Rhyming verbs in progressive tense is like riding a bike with 3 wheels. So again, nursery rhymes, lyrically not saying much, and overall there's just nothing to praise, but at least it didn't drag like KayCyy's performance.
He on my line, he wanna mingle. He want my time, I wanna be single. Looking for chips, boy, I want Pringles. Mine's make it rain, yours make it sprinkle.
Saucy Santana's freestyle was mediocre, forgettable, and overall just sounded uninspired, bland, and uncreative. I really don't like his voice and rapping style. His lyrical content is of course something I can't relate to. I mean, all he rapped about was him being a bad bitch, expensive clothes, and of course money, which nobody in hip-hop ever talked about. So let's just say I wasn't blown away by his subject matter. The flow and cadence on the other hand were great. Delivery could have been better, and the punchlines were somewhere between alright and mediocre. Nothing original or clever. He actually shot himself in the foot at the end of his freestyle, by more or less exposing himself. He said, "Yeah, I might get the 10th spot, but I'm the number 1 in this bitch." This would have been a great punchline if he actually got the 10th spot. But guess what? He didn't. It was BabyTron who won the voting. Saucy got picked after the voting was over, for obvious reasons. XXL just wanted to make a statement in hip-hop and show that they actually support the LGBTQ community, which I think was great. So BabyTron was the 10th spot winner, and Santana saying he might get the 10th spot is more or less a hint that the verse was pre-written. And that's, by the way, another unwritten rule in hip-hop. You never want to give the impression that you're spitting writtens or just perform a verse from a song, even if you do. You have to create the illusion that it's spontaneous. You have to read the room and act like you're doing everything on the spot. Even if you don't, you can't come here with outdated lines from weeks ago and call it a freestyle. So again, I'm not saying you have to spit completely off the dome, but don't come here with outdated lines and expose yourself. You have to make it look like it's a freestyle. Some accomplish that by shouting people out that are around them. Big 30, for example, he gave a shout out to Nardo, Wick and Big Scarr. Make it seem authentic even if it's not. Like, you can't say Trump will defeat Biden a day after the election. It has to be up to date. In Santana's case, it's unfortunately his main punchline. Everything led up to this moment, the final line that ended the whole cypher. Executed poorly, and the punch ended up being nothing more than a push. The remaining lines are mediocre at best, I would say. Looking for chips, boy, I want Pringles. Money long, it got extensions. Put his pussy in his mouth, start spelling. What the hell? Anyway, he also tried to reference Young Jeezy's and Gucci Mane's beef. This one probably flew over most people's heads. He was saying that he picks Gucci, not only the fashion brand but also the rapper, over Jeezy. It was of course a little generic, basic, nothing too flashy or original, and it was executed poorly, if you ask me. That's how I feel about the overall freestyle. He might sound dope next to KayCyy and SoFaygo, but next to some great MCs, this performance would definitely be considered whack.
It's hard keeping it pimpin', my bitches be trippin' and want some attention. It's hard keeping it trio, cause niggas be perpin' and flex for instant.
Babyface Ray's freestyle felt like it was an hour long, even though it only lasted 84 seconds. Low on energy, terrible delivery and enunciation of words, to the point where even the geniuses on Rap Genius couldn't figure out what he was trying to say. 4 times actually. And to this day, nobody has a clue what he said. The remaining verse didn't bring anything new to the table, aside from the things he already rapped about in the solo freestyle. Nothing noteworthy or something that captured my interest. The stereotypical gangster talk mixed with a little bit of storytelling. Wasn't fun to listen to. Would have been way more enjoyable if he put more energy or anger behind his voice. This just sounded like he was bored and wanted to get it over with the least amount of effort. People in the comments overhyped this verse just because he rapped the longest. The flow sounded cool, laid back and smooth at first, but due to the fact that he didn't give us anything special both vocally and lyrically, it got old real quick, and ultimately sounded sleepy and boring.
Ooh shit, ooh nah nah, tell him make room when a real bitch fly by. If Doechii on the list, then it's thicker than the Popeyes.
Doechii is probably the most annoying rapper this year. I went on like a nice 2-minute rant about his style in my analysis video for the solo freestyles, so make sure to check it out. This time her vocals weren't as obnoxious and nerve-wracking, but she still sounded like Nicki Minaj, overpronounced every word even for the most basic rhyme schemes. Some of these words don't even rhyme together, but she mispronounced them to force a rhyme.
Nah, fly by, Popeyes, bye-bye, voila, tada, prada, voila, nada.
Nana, Flaba, Popeyes, Baba, Walla, Tada, Prada, Walla, Dada, Mama. Words that even babies can say. But she wasn't the only one with baby rhymes, so I'll give her a pass.
Green iguana, PV Sana, TV Dana, VA Jana.
She mispronounced the term TV dinner as TV diner. No clue how you can fit an entire diner into your mouth, but whatever. TV dinner doesn't rhyme with PV sauna or VA gina. So I guess she tried to bend those words, and yeah, they still didn't rhyme. As you can see, she tried way too hard to keep the same rhyme scheme over the first 12 bars of her verse, and had to mispronounce the most basic words. broke some of them down to overpronounce every syllable in order to distract the listener from the fact that most of these words don't even rhyme together. But at least she tried. I loved how she perfectly stayed on beat during the entire performance, even when the beat switched and changed tempo. Doechii adjusted her flow accordingly and managed to stay on beat while making it sound effortless, planned and rehearsed. Her punchlines were mediocre, I would say, but at least she tried. If Doechii on the list, then it's thicker than Popeyes. It seems like she left out a few words. What exactly about Popeyes is she addressing? The line about people switching gangs was alright too, nothing special. In the shade room, but the shades ain't Prada. This one is mediocre, I would say, and the rest is wishy-washy. The most enjoyable thing about her freestyle was definitely her cadence and how every syllable perfectly resonated with the beat. But she really needs to improve her rhymes and overall pen game.
Disappear, vamoose, you whack to me. Take them rhymes back to the factory.
Bang, 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 bang. Big brother always trying to touch a nigga brain.
Bro, who the hell starts off a verse with
bang, 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 bang?
Nardo Wick is number 5 on my list. Could have been number 1 if he wouldn't sound like an emotionless robot with a stuffy nose that mumbles and raps unclearly. Terrible delivery and voice, low energy and the same lame-ass flow throughout the majority of the freestyle. The only portion of this performance that sounded great to me was bar 11 to 16, where he increased his pace and sounded energetic. And with energetic, I mean normal. This man is a sleeping pill, sounding weary and bored as if he doesn't even want to rap. Everyone else in the cypher except Big Scarr outshined him sonically, just because of his terrible delivery, voice, weak flow and low energy. I mean, it's his fault that the cypher started slow, boring and sleepy. When Big 30 came in, he brightened it all up. He was way more fun to listen to, even though his lyrics were mediocre at best. Cause if Nardo Wick wouldn't have such a whack rapping style, he would have easily had the best verse. I'm one of those people who would enjoy his music more if he wasn't on it. Cause it always sounds like a corny rap parody in school, where they forced the geekiest nerd of the class with a speech impediment to freestyle, even though he doesn't even like rap. Anybody with a decent flow, delivery and rapping voice can easily outshine him, even though his punchlines and lyrics were on point and the best in the class. Big 30 shouldn't have been able to make him sound this bad. I mean, compare those freestyles side by side and then tell me which sounds better. But let's focus on the positive things and take a look at his lyrics. Brush my teeth with scope, but promise I got aim. Aim and scope are both toothpastes. He uses 2 double entendres to not only say that he brushes his teeth with the toothpaste I just mentioned, he uses the scope of his weapon to aim and shoot. That was a pretty impressive line. The way I'm swinging shit, think my bitch Mary Jane. He continues the gun scheme with 2 more double entendres. Mary Jane is a name for a gun, but also a reference to the comic book superhero Spider-Man, who has a girlfriend called Mary Jane. He's swinging around like Spider-Man and at the same time swinging his gun. The rest of these lines are lukewarm, I would say. Leave him necklace, he try and reaching for my chain. He wants to decapitate anyone who tries to reach for his chain. But if this was supposed to be another double entendre, then it was a pretty bad one, I would say. Aside from the poor grammar, I don't really see the point in bragging about leaving somebody a necklace. The line only makes sense if it's not a double entendre, and if leaving people headless is the only message. So this could have been executed a little better in my opinion. I can tell all these people phony, I'm not friendly, so don't call me. This one might be a reach, but I saw people saying he's using another double entendre here. Using the word phony not only for a punk who pretends to be someone he is not, but to also play around with the word phone, in order to connect it to the last part of the line where he said, don't call me. He then used the same play on words twice. See his whip and fill it up with holes, and got 2 hoes on my dick, call me Ferragamo man. Playing with the words holes and hose. In the first line he shoots holes into the cars of his enemies, but it can also be interpreted as him putting hoes into a car like a pimp. This only works due to the fact that holes and hose sound similar. The second line is a little more problematic. Got 2 hoes on my dick, call me Ferragamo man. Ferragamo belts have 2 big circles in the middle, so that way the line would make sense. But this line is supposed to be a double entendre. So I don't get why we should call you Ferragamo man if you have 2 hoes or 2 women on your dick. Again, this is based on the assumption that he's playing around with the words holes and hose. That's what a lot of his fans were saying in the comments. They somehow found double meanings in every line. So they are either reaching or these lines are not executed very well. But at least we know what he was trying to say. Pull up with extensions like Juana Man. Similarly, double entendre and a reference to a fictional character dressed in drag to play in a women's basketball league. He uses hair extensions to look more like a woman. But what Nardo is also trying to say is that he'll pull up with gun extensions. Which is a very basic and simple play on words, of course, but I still like to give him credit for referencing a movie that is just as old as him. He wasn't the only one that referenced the movie this year. BabyTron did the same in his solo freestyle, if you remember. I wonder if it's just a weird coincidence, cause it's a 20-year-old movie that I already forgot about. It's not even a movie of that generation. I keep heat where I go, I'm a walking sauna man. Heat is another term for a gun, and a sauna is a small room that produces heat. So nothing too flashy or impressive. To sum it all up, this freestyle just proves you that punchlines aren't everything. They are really fun to analyze, but they don't make up for a terrible vocal performance. No matter how great your software is, if your hardware is terrible, then your product will be subpar, no matter how good you can code or how many programs or functions you can add. And in this case, the vocal performance is the hardware. So we need to find the right balance. Nardo Wick's vocal performance and rapping skills are underwhelming. Especially in terms of delivery, energy, flow and cadence, cause I feel like he was offbeat way too often.
50 racks on me right now and this he always made a silk. Nigga spin my block incorrect, then somebody getting killed. My young nigga 15 with 4 body, can't even buy a field. He ain't even old enough to vote that little boy biting crib.
Big 30's voice, energy and flow matched the beat perfectly. It almost sounded like an actual song. The instrumental really brought out the best in him. He was able to use his energy and his aggressive flow to his advantage, and to its full potential. Vocally, he outshined everybody. He didn't even need the most impressive lyrics or the most advanced technical skills. He just sounded the best, and thus was able to easily outshine people with a better pen game than him. Like for example Nardo Wick. His verse is actually the most replayed part in the cypher, cause sonically it was the most enjoyable. But aside from his praisable vocal performance, he didn't really do anything that is worth noting in terms of lyricism. Just the stereotypical gangster talk mixed with a little bit of storytelling about him shooting and robbing somebody and not allowing people to come back to his block. Boring and generic, lyrics we hear every year. He also said free shiesty and gave a shout out to the people in the cypher like Big Scarr and Nardo Wick. Although I think he could have done it a little better. I mean, he kinda messed up his flow in the end. But that's basically it. Nothing flashy, impressive or sophisticated about his overall writing. Kind of the exact opposite of Nardo Wick. They both had what the other lacked. If we could somehow combine Nardo Wick and Big 30 into one rapper, then we would probably have the best freshman in a while. But I wouldn't consider these two great rappers the way they are.
They say they like how a bitch talk. Scared I'ma talk to they nigga like this. I did my last nigga so wrong. After he dropped like 50 on the wrist.
On number 3 we have KayCyy, who sounded like a more enjoyable version of last year's XXL Freshman Ruby Rose. They are very similar in terms of subject matter, delivery and flow. The whole whispery, warm, soft and soothing voice with a relatively low pitch, breathing in and out very gentle and slowly. I like to call it the sexy flow. Fit the beat perfectly and sounded really enjoyable. Her subject matter on the other hand was once again the stereotypical bad bitch talk, telling us how she's dealing with men that she dated before, and also with women who are jealous of her. But she took it a little further than the other quote-unquote bad bitch rappers. This whole thing almost sounded like a subliminal diss at one of her ex-boyfriends that she left after getting some expensive jewelry from him. Almost as if she knew that he was cheating and that they were talking behind her back.
Same niggas speak on my pussy. Ain't been in us since they came out. Same bitches speak on my verses. Ain't made a hit since they came out.
She might actually be referring to some other rapper that she's beefing with. And maybe these people have all something to do with each other. But this is of course just pure speculation. I done went up, they went psycho. Bitch play with me, you going viral. This either is a generic meaningless line, or she's really trying to threaten somebody. Like I said, could be another female rapper that we don't know about. Again, the subject matter is very similar to some of the people before her. But the concept itself is something we didn't see that often in XXL history. A whole diss verse dedicated to a past relationship, gossip, beef and old friendships. And then she's dissing rappers that flash guns in their videos. Would be hilarious if this was also about her ex. Some people also said that she dissed one of her exes on a song called Standards. So it might be the same person. Who knows? Punchlines, wordplay, rhyme schemes and lyrics overall could be improved, but aside from that, she did better than I expected.
MacBooks and backwoods, I'm scamming on my high shit. Froze ass heart, tell a bitch she need an ice pick. I was born broke, but best believe that I'ma die rich.
I should really start deducting points for cutting off the beat. I don't want to hear you rap a cappella twice in a row. These ciphers are there for a reason. We wanna hear how you sound in a group, over a beat, and also in the opposite case, alone, without a beat. He basically gave us the same thing twice. I ordered the burger with fries, and this motherfucker just decided to give me 2 portions of fries. I'm still here waiting for my burger. Nah, but seriously, I feel cheated on every time somebody cuts off the beat. But I guess I have to deal with it at this point. It's almost like a tradition now. Almost every year since 2017 we see people cutting off the beat. First it was XXXTentacion, then Ski Master Slump God, then in 2019 Tierra Whack, Polo G in 2020, and now BabyTron. But anyway, the main problem I had with this freestyle was the length of it. I feel like we didn't get enough from this dude. 39 seconds is a little too short if you ask me. But compared to someone like a big Scarr, this was a movie. He at least managed to give us some great lines, which to my surprise were delivered pretty well. Knowing how emotionless and boring he usually sounds, and how flat his delivery is, I did see a little bit of improvement in terms of vocal performance compared to his solo freestyle. His flow was more advanced, he had better rhyme schemes, and sonically it was just overall more enjoyable. Punchlines and wordplay as always on point. Some of them are self-explanatory, like froze ass hard, tell a bitch she need a ice pick. I was born broke but best believe that I'ma die rich. Squeezing triggers, I'll treat the Glocky like a stress ball. Obviously saying that he will squeeze the trigger repeatedly to relieve stress. Why he playing once it's up you can press pause. You're trying to test me and think it's a game, but when you see me in real life you can't press pause. This shit is not a game. Sonic to the Blues gets running like the Hedgehog. Referencing Sonic the Hedgehog, a fictional cartoon character that can run supersonic speeds. With the blues, he's referring to the blue stripe on $100 bills. So he's trying to say that he's making money as fast as Sonic can run. And Sonic the Hedgehog is of course blue as well. But I also saw people saying that he's talking about the music genre blues, and Sonic as in sound waves. But I personally think that they were reaching and overanalyzing it. Catch him in an off-white tee, get him X'd off. Once again mentioning the fashion brand Off-White, just like in a solo freestyle. The off-white t-shirt designs have an X on the back, and he's also saying that he will catch and kill you. 3.5 of this shit think I'm gonna fly. 3.5 is a slang term for 3.5 grams of drugs, like for example weed. And with I'm gonna fly he means I'm getting high. XXL chopstick, this the biggest size. Some of these punchlines are lukewarm, but like I said in the previous video, I set the bar pretty low, and try to make it as fair as possible. This would have definitely been the best freestyle if it was longer and performed on a beat. But BabyTron definitely impressed me this year. I didn't expect him to be this lyrical.
I see these diamonds on my neck, cost me a grip. Your shit ain't adding up. I skipped the S, I went straight to the VV, made the choker buzz.
KenTheMan had the best performance this year. Far from the best freestyle I ever heard, but she had the most balanced and the least flawed out of everyone in the class. You heard me complain about each and every one of them. KenTheMan on the other hand got a decent score in every category and checked the most boxes for me. I will say this though, her freestyle wasn't outstanding in any criteria that revolves around lyricism. Rappers like BabyTron and Nardo Wick were superior in those fields, especially in terms of punchlines and wordplay. Ken was just decent at everything, and that was enough to become the #1 this year. Her flow and cadence were amazing though. Her delivery was on point, rhyme schemes above average, and she also had some decent punchlines and some clever wordplay. Overall, she didn't really have weak points like some of the other rappers in the ranking. And I think the fact that she rapped twice as long as somebody like a BabyTron helped her to impress in all categories without sacrificing or neglecting fields that are important in my ranking. And I also liked how she stayed consistent, unlike Babyface Ray, who made me feel like I'm watching a boring and long movie, even though his performance was just as long as KenTheMan's. Her pen game was on point and it didn't get boring mid-verse. Started off talking about diamonds and necklaces.
I see these diamonds on my neck, cost me a grip. Your shit ain't adding up. I skipped the S, I went straight to the VV, made the choker buzz.
Talking about VVS diamonds and Vivienne Westwood designer necklaces. She's also using the word choker, and in the next line she's playing around with it, saying her haters are choking up when they see her. Then she says a bunch of things I don't want to talk about. A lot of sex references and disgusting things that shouldn't be explained on a platform like YouTube, where a high percentage of the viewers are kids. And to be honest, I don't want to explain this shit. But I let you guys read it on the screen. Her lines are all self-explanatory for adults. Oh, this one I can explain. She said, I drop a hoe, I get another one like DJ Khaled. Another one is here by DJ Khaled's most famous ad-lib. I mean, you hear it on every single one of his songs. Say that they don't like me liking pictures, that's a contradiction. This one was also decent, I don't think I need to explain. But she also talks about hoes that are trying to mess with her, saying they should keep her name out their mouth. I heard this like a million times now. I don't know why, but most female freshmen feel like they have to say it. Content-wise, we didn't really get anything new from this verse. But aside from that, this was actually pretty enjoyable. And as you can see, the average scores of the individual ciphers were pretty close this year. Cypher 2 had the best beat in my opinion. It contained the worst and also the best freestyles, Big Scarr and KenTheMan. Big 30 and Nardo Wick were both in the top 5, so we had 3 top 5 verses in here, and the ranking was still this close. Cypher 3 had the second worst performance and also the second best. Cochise and BabyTron. KayCyy was number 3 and Babyface Ray number 7. I liked the beat on here too. Weezy here did a great job. But the instrumental in the first cypher was just terrible. Just like the cypher itself. We had 3 bottom 5 freestyles in here, so it's not a surprise that the average score for the cypher was this low. And this right here is the average score of all the freestyles combined. Anyway, that was it for the ranking, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.